there's a silence that comes before a storm. And then there's a silence after your heart breaks. When Shiva, the silent, detached yogi, heard that his beloved Sati had walked into the fire, not because she was weak, but because her pain had no place left to go, he didn't cry. He didn't shout. He simply closed his eyes. But what he created from that silence shook the entire universe. From one lock of his matted hair, he tore out a blazing force of fury. Veerabhadra, not a demon, not a god, but hot righteous anger in form. This was no ordinary wrath. Veerabhadra didn't rise to destroy for ego. He rose because injustice had crossed the line. Daksha, Sati's father, a powerful king and devotee of Vishnu, had organized a massive yajna, sacrifice. But in his pride, he refused to invite Shiva and even insulted him in front of the sages. Sati, unable to bear this disrespect toward her beloved, chose to end her physical life in that fire. When Veerabhadra arrived at Daksha's sacrifice, the skies turned red, winds roared, sages trembled, and justice, the kind that doesn't knock politely, entered like thunder. Veerabhadra didn't argue, he didn't negotiate, he dismantled the entire yajna, not out of blind rage, but out of sacred fury. Because sometimes, when arrogance blinds the wise, when cruelty disguises itself as righteousness, and when love is mocked by ego, silence is not the answer. This is what Shiva teaches us through Veerabhadra, that there's a place for calm, but there's also a place for divine fire. Veerabhadra beheaded Daksha, not as revenge, but as a reset. And yet, the story doesn't end in destruction. When the storm passed, Shiva, in his infinite compassion, restored Daksha's life. This time with the head of a goat, symbolizing humility, replacing pride. He didn't erase Daksha, he transformed him. That's what makes divine anger different from human rage. It doesn't seek domination, it seeks balance. It doesn't burn everything, only what must no longer remain. So what does this mean for us, here and now? We're often told, don't be angry. But the truth is, anger is not the enemy. Unconscious anger is. Anger becomes divine when it rises not from ego, but from a love, from of truth, from the refusal to allow harm to continue. So here's your reflection practice for this week. Take a few minutes and sit quietly. Ask yourself, where in my life am I suppressing anger that's actually rooted in truth? And then, how can I express it with wisdom, not violence? Write a letter, not to send, but to understand. Speak your truth, not to destroy, but to restore the balance. And when the moment is right, take an action that honors both your fire and your compassion. Because Veerabhadra lives in all of us, the path that knows when to rise, when to roar, and when to rebuild. If this story helped you reconnect with your inner strength, your sacred fire, don't forget to subscribe. Because the stories of Shiva aren't just for devotion, they're for transformation.